Creating a greeting card using Scratch. We're going to be using the Scratch animator. You'll have multiple sprites on your screen. One of the sprites must move. One of the sprites must change costumes. You'll get extra credit if you add sound that is appropriate for your animation. The point is that you would like to send this to a greeting as a greeting to someone that you know. So in order to do that, you're going to need to open up Scratch and start from scratch. So when you're in Scratch, you're going to start importing your sprites here. So these should be things that you've saved on the internet and you've saved to your drive. So I have all the different pictures that I already manipulated in paint.net. I erased things, saved them, named them properly, and now it will be easy for me to bring them in Scratch. You can start off with your stage. When you go to import, you want to make sure that you go under computer, your Z drive, and find the folder that you saved the pictures to. So for me, I'm going to save this as my background. If you'd like to grow your background, you need to edit your background and grow it here. I'm also going to copy this background and edit it right in paint.net. You can choose this color, and I'm going to paint away using my brush the fireworks. Then I'll be able to have them explode. So if I'm able to use the same color to do that, that'll just make it look pretty nice. So I'll do that and hit OK. So before I even start, I'm just going to delete my cat. If I right click on it and hit delete, that will go away. For my stage, I'm going to have it change backgrounds. So I want it to change between the fireworks and the no fireworks, which is just background, we'll call it 1, and I'm going to name this background 2. So when I'm in my script, I can say I want to change how it looks. So it's under background, switch from background 1 to background 2. However, I want it to constantly repeat. So I'm going to add a forever loop. And I want to wait a little bit in between each time. So when you're looking at your code, it runs from top to bottom. So it'll switch from background 1, wait a second, switch to background 2, wait a second, and repeat the whole thing. I would suggest running the code right after you do something to see if that's what you wanted it to do. And as you can see, it is switching between the two, so that's great. Now I want to start bringing in my sprites. When I go to choose new sprite from file, I want to click computer, go to my Z drive, and find all my files. If I did not save the file correctly, if I saved it as a JPEG and not a PNG, I'll have this white background. So if I'm able to, I can edit the sprite in this editor here. I can choose the bottom right corner, that's a checker box, and I can just paint dump that here. I can also shrink it if I'd like here. I'm actually not going to do that in this part. Just hit OK, and I'll shrink it out here, so it'll shrink the whole thing down so it's a manageable size, and that's what I wanted to do. I'm going to bring in more than one sprite, so I'll bring in the Eagles logo, and I'll have that up here. I do want to shrink it a little bit so it doesn't take up the entire space. You can add your own text as a sprite. So if I wanted to just paint my own sprite, I can use the text box. And if I choose any color, I can have it flash colors later. Oh, I do have to typing. So I'll just go Eagles, and I'll have it be green to start off with. Just because that's the team color, and I'll put that right. I kind of place things where I want, where they're right here. So I want the football to go across the screen. So I want it to start off here. So in order to do that, I'm actually going to take the cheap way out, and I'm going to make a couple different copies of this football. So if I edit this football, I can rotate it. So maybe it's at an angle. It's a little too much. And then I can copy again edit my football, rotate it the other way. So if I want it to start off as football 1, then go there. So when I'm running my code, I want to say, hey, when I first start, I want it to look like football number 1. And I want it to start where it is right now. I'm then going to just take my football and physically click on it and move it to the center. I'm going to have to say I want it to glide to that location. So under motion, there's a glide. And if you notice, this X and Y is different from where it is now. This will change depending on where you are. And when it gets to that location, I want it to look like the normal football. And then I want it to glide. Actually, I'll have it wait for a second. And then I'll have it glide down to here. So when I do that, I go back to glide and it changes it automatically for me. And then I can put this in here, and I think that should work. So I'm going to press the green button, see if it works, stays there for a second, goes back down. If that's what I would like, I can put it in a forever loop, and that matches. I have something changing costume, I have something moving. If you'd like to do an easy way to have it change costume, if you put a change color effect on the text, that's a pretty neat effect. You can play with the different effects, they have different ones. But since it's just text, I can have it do that and it flashes different colors. So the rainbow effect looks there. Now if I'd like to add sound, I can do that. I have to import the sound. So again, it has to be something that adds to your drawing. Don't just add things to add things. So you may have to ask Mrs. Science to find you a sound off the internet and put it in your folder, and then you can add it there. But this would be a really good electronic greeting card. The last most important step is to save this to your Z drive. So always make sure you save as, pick computer, pick your Z drive, and save it in your current folder. This is going to be called EGreeting. When you're all done, please give it a name by your last name. So when you turn it in on Google Classroom, I'm able to find it. So I'm going to call it Heinz EGreeting. You would call it your last name, obviously, and EGreeting. Make sure you save it often, and we should be good.